So we've looked at the top three tests here: hardness testing, dissolved oxygen testing, and alkalinity testing. Now we'll just have a quick look at pH, TDS, phosphate, and molybdenum. So with pH testing, well, we did that in the lab too, didn't we? We had 5 different samples and we tested it 5 different ways. And we measured the pH and then we ranked the samples in order of their pH from most acidic to least acidic. So that one I think we're good with. Now the dissolved solids test, also known as the TDS test, use a meter for that, and that uses conductivity of the sample to determine the concentration of the dissolved solids. Now, important point here, the water sample has to be neutralized first to remove any excess hydroxide ions, because those will skew the conductivity results. So we won't be doing this test, but you'll be doing this test in the boiler lab with Len or Guy, not sure, one of those instructors. Phosphate testing, and we don't use phosphates in our boiler, but what phosphates are used for, as we mentioned earlier, they're used to precipitate scale-causing compounds into a sludge. Okay, so that means in order to make sure that the sludge is kept moving, that we need phosphate in the system at all times. So we're checking for the residual, just like we checked for residual sodium carbonate, pardon me, sodium sulfate when we were doing our oxygen testing lab. It's the same idea here. We're just testing to make sure that we have some phosphate left over, which means, right, that the scale-causing compounds have been precipitated into a sludge. If there's no phosphate in the sample, there's still scale-causing compounds in the feedwater. And as far as molybdenum testing goes, again, we're testing for residual molybdate, which is a compound of molybdenum. And remember what molybdenum is used for molybdate, is to form a passive anti-corrosion film on the water side of the tubing. So again, if there's residual present, then we know that we have the film forming. If we don't have any present, then we know that we're going to be having surface areas without any anti-corrosion film. Now just one last note on the water testing labs, right? As we mentioned, we're doing hardness, dissolved oxygen, and alkalinity, and the test kit we're using for this is from Aqua Analytics. Model number is AK3002, and it's specifically designed for these 3 tests. Going through your material in the text, looking at figures 11, 16, 17, 18, and 19, they use the same approach. However, the equipment they're using for titration is of a more general nature.